Hey, okay crew, and welcome back to another yoga class. Today I am joined by my little sister's puppy Winnie, who I will show you later because she's in her bed right now and I'm hoping she stays there for the majority of this video. But there's a good chance she won't, so you might see her scurrying around. Or there might be a couple cuts in this video of me putting her back in her bed. So that's my little disclaimer. But anyways, today's class is coming back to a more regular yoga class. So the last few classes have been really working on building strength. So really focusing on an area of the body or developing better range of motion and mobility throughout the body so that when we come to these more classic style flow classes, we're more confident and comfortable in the positions and we're building up the strength to do the movements well. But because we have spent quite a few classes kind of building up that strength and working on those different poses, I thought it would be a good time to come back to a classic flow style class so that you can kind of see how you're doing, how things are feeling, and it's a good time to kind of compare and contrast to how you were feeling before we started doing those more specific style classes. So without further ado, let's get started in today's class. We'll begin today's class by taking a comfortable cross-legged seated position. So find a comfortable position for you, whether that be legs crossed over top, or maybe in front, maybe leaning up against a wall or having a cushion underneath your sits bones. Find something comfortable that your body's able to rest in as we begin a scan from head to toe. Feeling how the body is doing today. Is it sore? Is it feeling energized? Because today will be a longer flow class. So you can keep your eyes open or let them rest gently to help you tune inwards. And don't do anything with your breath right now. Just let it come in naturally, in and out as it wants to go. And then begin to slowly deepen your breaths, really intentionally drawing the breath down into your belly, feeling the ribs expand and coming up into your chest, and then drawing out your exhale, feeling everything coming back to the midline. Again, if it's easier for you to draw out your inhale and exhale, you can place one hand on your belly or one hand on your chest. I find that often helps me really cue myself to draw the breath into my belly because I'm a chronic chest breather. And so it doesn't feel natural for me to draw the breath all the way into my belly. Take one more deep inhale and exhale. And then place your hands down by your sides and draw your left ear towards left shoulder. And we'll do a few neck rolls here, so slowly rolling the head down and around so that your right ear comes over right shoulder. We'll come through this a few times, slow and controlled, being careful with the neck. We'll do this one more time on either side. So you have left ear over left shoulder. And come back and around, so right ear is over right shoulder. And then draw your head back up to center. Place your left hand by your side, so be kind of in line with your hip. And then your right hand draw it up overhead as you begin to side bend over to the left side, opening up the right side body. Inhale back to center and switch sides. Right arm comes down, left arm starts to reach over to the right side. Inhale, back to center. Exhale the other way. Again, keeping the chest open to the side wall. Inhale, back to center. Exhale the other way. And your sits bones remain on the ground. Inhale, back to center. Exhale the other way. Last time, inhale, back to center. Exhale, over to the right. And back to center. We'll all meet in tabletop position. Shoulders stacked over top of wrists, hips over ankles. Your toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever is the most comfortable for you. And we'll come through a few rounds of cat-cow, continuing to warm up the spine. On an inhale, begin to tilt the tailbone up, the belly sinks down, the chest opens, and then on an exhale, tilt the tailbone under, rounding through the spine, pushing up between the shoulder blades to protract the shoulders, and the head comes down last into cat. Inhale through cow, slow and controlled, being very intentional with these movements. It's easy to want to rush through it. And then exhale through cow, exhale through cat. One more time through both, inhaling through cow pose. And exhaling through cat. We'll all meet back in a neutral tabletop position. Spread your fingertips, your fingers wide here. Elbow pits pointing forward. Tuck your toes if they're not tucked already. Push between your shoulder blades. You're separating, protracting your scapula. And lift your knees just a few inches off the mat here, coming into bear pose. The neck is nice and long here. Gazing just a few inches out in front of you. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then push your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Pedal your feet out a little bit here. Take your dog for a walk. Sway your hips side to side, whatever feels good for you. And then take one more deep inhale and exhale, and then shift your way back into your hands, coming back into bear pose. So really pushing down in the mat again to separate your shoulders. We don't want caving through the chest. So that's why we really want to actively think about pushing the floor away. On your next inhale, push your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Maybe giving your head a shake, opening up the jaw, making sure that you're not clenching. And then take one more deep inhale and exhale, and then shift your way back into bear pose. Push that mat away. Keep the spine nice and long. Take one more deep inhale and exhale, and then push your hips up and back into downward facing dog. We'll take 2 breaths here. On your final exhale, come up onto your toes, bend your knees, look between your hands, and step to the front of your mat into a forward fold. Again, bend your knees as much as you need to so that your belly rests on the top of your thighs. Let the head hang heavy. We'll stay here for a few breaths so you can draw your hands to opposite elbows and sway side to side. Or let your head and your hands hang heavy here. Whatever feels best for you. And then begin to slowly ragdoll up. Slow, controlled movements. Your head will come up last. And we'll all meet at the top of our mat in Tadasana or mountain pose. So again, in Tadasana, your toes are together, heels slightly apart, palms opening up to the front of the room and down by your sides. Or you can take a hips width apart stance. We'll come through Sun Salutation A to begin more heat generating warm up. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead, palms touch, gaze follows. Exhale, hinge at the hips to forward fold. Let the head hang heavy. Place your hands on your shins or just above your knees to push up to flat back. Exhale to forward fold. Plant your palms and step your feet back into high plank, high push-up. Option to lower down to your knees or shift your weight forward into your hands. Squeeze your elbows in by your sides as you lower down through your push-up. Inhale through Cobra or upward facing dog. Chest is open. Tuck your toes, send your hips up and back into downward facing dog. We'll hold this for 3 breaths. Fingers are spread nice and wide. Elbow pits are pointing forward so we're not bending at the elbows here. Tailbone is pointing up towards the ceiling. On your third and final exhale, come up onto your toes. Bend your knees, look between your hands, and step to the front of your mat into a forward fold. Inhale up to flat back. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale on strong legs, sweep your arms up overhead, come to stand. Exhale, palms to heart center. Sun Salutation B. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, bending at the knees, send your hips down and back into chair pose. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your palms, step your feet back into high plank, high push-up. Option to stay in high plank or lower down to your knees. Shift your weight into your hands, squeeze your elbows in by your ribs as you lower down through your push-up. Inhale to Cobra or upward facing dog. And then tuck your toes, send your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep your right foot up behind you. Exhale, step it through in between your hands. If you get stuck along the way, just use your right hand to move it up between your hands. Your back foot, so your left foot plants at a 45-degree angle. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Your hips and shoulders are squared off to the front of the room, so you're in a closed position. Exhale, come down, back into your high plank, and then come through your push-up. Inhale through Cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep your left foot up behind you. Exhale, step it through your hands. Your back foot plants at a 45-degree angle. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead, warrior one. Make sure that your knee is tracking over towards your baby toe side and isn't caving inwards. Exhale to plant your palms. Step back to high plank, high push-up, and lower down through your push-up. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hold for 3 breaths. Use this as an opportunity to come back to your breathing. Using this as a restorative pose. You always have the option to come down into child's pose though. Inhale to come up onto your toes. Bend your knees, look between your hands, and step your feet up to the front of your mat into forward folds. Inhale to flat back. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale, sit your hips down and back, arms come up over your head into chair pose. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, come up, stand. Exhale, hands down to heart center. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your palms, step back to high plank, high push-up. Option to come down to your knees or shift your way forward into your hands. Come through push-up. Inhale to back under your choice. Exhale back into downward facing dog. On an inhale, sweep your right foot up behind you and step it through, coming up into warrior 2. We're looking for heel to arch alignment. Hips and shoulders are stacked and are open to the side room. Your back foot is parallel to the back of your mat or can be slightly rotated in. Gaze is over your middle finger. Flip your front palm and begin to side bend over to come into exalted warrior. Keeping the chest open to the side wall here. Exhale back into warrior 2. Inhale up and through crescent lunge, so the back heel is lifted. Arms are pointing up towards the ceiling. And then begin to open up your hands to the opposite side wall, coming into revolved warrior. If it's too difficult to keep your hands open while twisting, you can just place them on your right hip. Inhale back up into crescent. Exhale, plant your hands on the floor and step your left foot up to meet your right into a forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, forward fold. This time, step your right foot back and come into a warrior 2. Again, heel to arch alignment. Gaze over your middle finger. Flip your front palms to your left hand. Exalt your warrior. Exhale back to warrior 2. And then come into crescent lunge. So coming up onto the balls of your right foot. Fingertips reaching towards the ceiling here. Your right leg, your back leg is extended, so not bending the back knee. And then begin to twist over to the left as you open your arms up almost into warrior two hands. Again, you have the option to place your hands on your hips if it's too difficult to keep your arms lifted while rotating. Come back through crescent lunge. Your arms will come down, straightening your front foot. Step your right foot up to meet your left into a forward fold. Inhale up through flat back. Exhale down through forward folds. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead, come to stand, palms touch. Exhale, palms down to heart center. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, down through your forward folds. Come up through flat back. Exhale, forward fold, plant your palms, step your feet back to high plank, high push-up. Option to come down to your knees. Shift the weight through your hands. Come through your push-up, slow and steady. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale through downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep your right foot up behind you. Exhale, step it between your hands. Your left leg, so your back leg, drop the knee down. Place your left hand on the inside of your right foot. And then with your right hand, begin to twist up into revolved side angle. You have the option here to lift your back leg, so your left leg, to come into a lunge. And then if you would like to take one step further, lift all the weight out of your bottom hand, so your left hand. Exhale, frame your front foot and step your right foot back to meet your left. Exhale down through your push-up. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Your left foot will come up behind you and step it between your hands. Again, drop your back leg so your right knee will come to the ground. Right hand comes on inside of your left foot. And open your left hand up to the sky, coming into revolved side angle. Again, you have the option to lift your back knee. And if you'd like to take it one step further, take all of the weight out of your right hand. Plant your hand back down on the mat. Step your left foot back to meet right. Exhale through your chaturanga. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale through downward facing dog. Inhale your right foot up behind you and step it between your hands. Inhale up into warrior one. So again, right foot or your back foot is at a 45-degree angle and the heel is planted. Heel toe your foot in just a little bit to shorten the angle. And then square your hips off to the front. So we don't want them opening, we really want them squared off here. We're coming into flank pose. So in flank pose, we're going to begin to forward fold over the top leg. But when we do that, we really want to make sure that we're squaring our hips and drawing this hip, this front hip, back so that it's in line, because when you begin to forward fold, you're going to want to open up through the hips. So we want to really actively push it back so that our hips are even. So forward fold over. You can bend your knee if you want to, or if you need to, because again, just like all of our forward folds, we want our belly touching the top of our thigh. Place your hands on your hips. Inhale, come to stand. Open your back foot up to the side wall. Arms come up parallel to the floor. Begin to lean forward as far as you can. When you can't reach any further, come down into triangle. So right hand reaches for the floor, left hand reaches up towards the ceiling. Inhale, come to stand. On an exhale, come through your crescent lunge. So again, heels lifted in crescent lunge. Place your hands on either side of your right foot, so your front foot. And then step back into plank position. Option to come down to your knees, to come through chaturanga. On an inhale, come through cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. Sweep your left foot up behind you and step it between your hands. Inhale, coming up to warrior one. Straighten your front leg and heel toe your back leg in just a little bit. And square your feet and your hips off to the front of the room. Again, now we're trying to draw our left hip back to square our hips off to the side wall, or the front of the room rather. And begin to hinge over your front leg. Again, bend your knees as much as you need to. And then pay attention to your hips here, because this is where you're going to want to go off kilter and have the left hip popping forward. Place your hands on your hips, come to stand. Your back foot turn to the side wall. Your left leg is straight. Arms come up into warrior two. Begin to lean forward as much as you can. When you can't reach any further, left hand drops to the floor, right hand opens up to the ceiling into triangle. Inhale, come up and through to your crescent lunge. Exhale, plant your hands on the floor. Step back into high plank, high push-up. If you'd like to come down to your knees now, you can. And then all together, shift your weight into your hands. Squeeze your elbows into your ribs as you come through your chaturanga. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Inhale your right foot up behind you and step it between your hands. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead, back into crescent lunge. So your left heel is lifted. Begin to lower your hands down by your sides. Shift the weight into your front foot to push up and into warrior three. So in warrior three, your back foot is pushing into an imaginary wall. Try to keep your hips level here. As you're hinging from your hips. Begin to lower your right hand down towards the ground, opening your chest and your hips to the side wall into half moon. Draw your left hand down towards the mat and lower your left leg to meet your right. into a forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your palms, step your feet back to high plank, high push-up. And exhale through your chaturanga. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale through to downward facing dog. This time, sweep your left foot up behind you and step it between your hands to come up into crescent lunge. Again, begin to shift the weight into your left foot, so your front foot, pushing up into warrior three. And then lower your left hand towards the mat as your hips and chest open to the side wall. Your right fingertips reaching up towards the ceiling. Lower your hand back down to the mat, and then right foot lowers to meet left into forward folds. Come up through flat back. Turn to your forward folds. And on strong legs, sweep your arms up overhead, come to stand. Exhale, palms to heart center. We'll now come into an arm balance. We haven't done crow pose in a little while. So if you would like to try crow, you can do a few modifications that I'll offer. You can pause the video right here and grab a pillow if you would like a little bit of extra support, or you can even do it closer to a wall and kind of use your wall as your little safety net. If you would rather not do crow pose, then just do 2 planks during the duration of when we're doing crow. So the options for crow. Again, we're basically forward folding and then opening up the knees so that the knee comes into your armpit. So we don't want to be on the outside because that's really slippery and it's going to be hard to hold for any period of time. So it's really coming into your armpit. And then lifting your toes up as close to your bum as possible, trying to lift your bum up into the air and your head's coming down lower. So the options are to just kind of rock in and out, not really lifting your toes, but just getting used to that feeling of rocking in and out. Or if you're feeling more comfortable, you can try lifting one toe and then the other. So those are your 2 options. And then again, you can just have a pillow right by your head, or you can do it up kind of against a wall so that you're almost using your head against the wall as your stability mechanism. So option is yours. If you'd like to come into full crow pose, again, fingers are nice and wide, pinky fingers about the edge of the mat, toes together. Begin drawing your knees in towards your armpits and shift the weight into your arm bone. We'll all meet in a high plank, high push-up to come to our final vinyasa. Option to come down to your knees, shift the weight forward into your hands, lower down through your push-up. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. On an inhale, come up onto your toes, bend your knees, look between your hands, and step to the front of your mat into a forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale to forward fold. On strong legs, sweep your arms up overhead, come to stand. Exhale, palms down by your side. We'll all make our way down to the mat. We'll lie down on our back with knees bent. Your heels in close to your bum, about hips width apart, and knees are straight, so not flaring out, but in line with your hips here. And we'll come into bridge pose. So again, in bridge, we're trying to open up the chest, roll the shoulder blades under, and then by putting weight into our heels, we're lifting our hips up away from the ground. So you can start with your hands down by your sides or gripping the mat, choosing whatever variation you like. And then begin to put weight into your heels, lift your hips away from the mat. And then you have the option here, if you would like to get a deeper chest stretch, you can clasp your hands underneath your back. So in this pose, we're strengthening our glutes, our quads, and our hamstrings while also opening up our chest. Well, twofer for us. Hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower out of the pose. Slow and carefully. And then draw your knees into your chest and give a nice little rock side to side. Begin to rock and roll up and down the length of your spine, and we'll meet in a seated position. So draw the bottoms of your feet together and open your knees up, almost like a book. We'll come into cobblers, or some people know it as butterfly. Again, if your knees are really high and it's like pinching or a lot of work to just keep your legs up here, either place some pillows or even maybe some books if you don't have anything underneath your legs, or just let your feet come out a little bit further so that your muscles are able to relax. If you're putting a lot of energy just so you can have your heels in as close as possible, your muscles aren't going to be able to relax and you're not going to get the benefit of the stretch. So just do either one of those modifications. Find a spot where you're able to relax and where you're able to sit up nice and tall. So we don't want to be like this. We want to be sitting up nice and tall. And then, if you would like to deepen the stretch, you can begin to hinge forward. Again, keeping in mind that concept of drawing your chest closer to the ground versus your head. And you can sway in and out, or just stay still. Again, finding whatever feels best for you, what lets you enjoy the stretch the most. And then inhale back, sitting up nice and tall with your hands closing up your knees. And we'll return to a supine position, so your back is on the mat. Extend your right leg out long. Draw your left knee in towards your chest. And then place your right hand on your left knee and begin to cross your knee over to the right side, coming into a twist. Your left hand can be out long in a T position or in cactus, whichever position you prefer. And again, your gaze can be over your right shoulder, center, or to deepen the twist, over your left shoulder. Whatever feels best for your neck. Returning to that deep belly breathing. Drawing the air all the way into your belly. Slowly come out of that stretch. Your left leg extends out long, this time drawing your right knee into your chest. And then with your left hand, begin to draw your right knee over the opposite side, coming into a twist on the opposite side. Maybe noticing if this side feels any different. Maybe you're able to go a bit deeper on this side, or maybe you feel a bit tighter. Roll back to center. Take any last needed movements. And then when you're ready, extend your legs out long. Arms come down by your sides, palms facing open. We'll come into Shavasana, our final resting pose. You can keep your eyes open or let them gently close. Thank you for joining me for today's class. I hope that you have a great rest of your day. This is Winnie, the cutest little puppy ever. Isn't that right? Can you say hi? She's finished biting my finger. Say hi. Hi. She's so cute, oh my word.